You already know if you're going to do it. Before the odds are even explained, before the stakes are clear, somewhere deep in your chest, the decision is already made. And the strange part? That feeling, that pull, has almost nothing to do with winning. Most people think people who love to bet are chasing money. They're wrong. Think about the last time you placed a bet, or made a risky decision, or stayed in a situation where the outcome was completely uncertain. Remember that moment right before you knew the result? That exact moment, that suspended second where anything could still happen. That is what your brain is actually addicted to. Not the win, the waiting. There's a person who checks the score every 30 seconds. Not because they think watching will change it, but because their whole nervous system is alive in a way it rarely is anywhere else. At work, they feel numb. At home, they feel restless. But here, with something on the line, they finally feel present. Does that sound familiar? Here's what's actually happening inside that brain. When uncertainty is introduced, real uncertainty, the kind where you genuinely don't know what comes next, your brain releases dopamine. But here's what most people don't know. The dopamine isn't released when you win. It's released in the anticipation, in the not knowing. Researchers found that the brain responds more powerfully to a maybe than to a yes. A guaranteed reward barely moves the needle. But a possible reward? That lights the whole system up. This is why people who love to bet aren't being irrational. Their brain has simply discovered one of the most efficient ways to feel completely, electrically alive. But go a little deeper, because this is where it gets real. A lot of people who are drawn to risk didn't grow up in environments that felt safe and predictable. When life is unpredictable early on, the nervous system learns to associate uncertainty with being awake, being ready, being here. Calm starts to feel wrong. Stillness starts to feel like something is about to go wrong. So they go looking for controlled uncertainty. A bet, a game, a risk they chose themselves. Because if you're going to feel the tension anyway, at least this version has a finish line. That's not a character flaw. That's a coping mechanism that became a personality trait. Think about the people in your life who always seem to have something going on. A plan, a hustle, a bet on the table. They seem reckless from the outside. But from the inside, they're often some of the most emotionally intelligent people in the room. They read situations quickly. They trust their gut. They're comfortable in chaos because somewhere along the way, chaos became home. And they will sit in absolute certainty, dead calm, until someone says, "Want to bet on it?" And suddenly, they're more alive than they've been all week. Here's the part nobody talks about. The bet isn't always about money. Sometimes it's a relationship they're not sure will work out, but they stay anyway. Sometimes it's a business idea everyone said was too risky. Sometimes it's sending the message, making the call, saying the thing. People who love to bet are not just gamblers. They are people who have a high tolerance for not knowing, and a deep, quiet belief that they can handle whatever comes. That belief is actually rare. Most people avoid uncertainty at all costs. They choose the safe job, the predictable routine, the relationship they've outgrown, just to avoid the feeling of not knowing. But the person who loves the bet, they've already made peace with the worst case. They calculated it quietly, accepted it, and then placed the bet anyway. That takes a kind of courage most people will never understand. The real question isn't why you love to bet. The real question is, what does it feel like to be you when there's nothing on the line? Because if the answer is empty, if stillness feels like absence rather than peace, then the betting was never about the bet at all. It was about finding a reason to feel something, a reason to show up fully, a reason to care about what happens next. And if that's true, the thing worth exploring isn't how to stop. It's how to build a life where you feel that alive without needing the risk to get there. Some people need music to feel something. Some people need connection. Some people need movement, or silence, or creation. And some people need the coin to still be in the air. There's nothing broken about that. The only question worth asking is whether the bets you're placing are moving you toward the life you actually want, or just keeping you feeling alive long enough to avoid building it. That's the one bet that actually matters. And only you know if you've been placing it.